Yeah,
Yeah, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for doing this. So, first of all, I want to
How are
ask.
you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. And how's everything in the family? Right, I'm really sorry for the loss. How's everything now?
Yeah, yeah, all is good now. Everything is good. Everybody is healthy. So
Mm.
I'm happy to talk to you today. Of
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
course.
So, yeah. First of all, I want to ask you how to pronounce your name. I'm really confused.
Yeah, okay. My name is OR Sachs.
OR Sachs.
Yeah, OR means in Hebrew light. So that works pretty well with me being a photographer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's quite confusing in English. I agree.
yeah, I was just wondering, from last day that how to really pronounce it. So I wanted to ask that question to you.
No problem.
So tell me, first of all, I want to ask you, how long have you been in photography? Like, how long have you been doing it?
I started 20 years ago when I was just a teenager.
Okay.
I remember going to a family trip to Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and my father gave me his camera. He said, like, take photos of the animals,
Okay.
and I liked taking photos of very strange stuff, like our driver or the hotel door or
Right.
plants or handles or weird stuff. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, no, take photos of the animals. We're in Africa. See the elephant, take a picture of the elephant.
Right. Right. So
And
you were shooting everything that used to gauge your interest, right?
uh, yeah, interesting stuff though. Like I like the animals, but I felt like there's so much more to take photos of.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood that maybe there's not something more for me in that I need to explore.
And you must have not you must have no idea at that time like why you're doing it. You're just doing it out of fun.
Yeah, no, no idea at
No
all.
idea.
Yeah, but my parents, when we got back and developed the film, they said
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should go to learn it like in a course or something like that or at school. And
Right.
so
Right.
that's how I started.
So there was any photographer in your family, or you were just the first one?
I was the one,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me a lot of years to call myself a photographer.
Okay.
Like I had a camera, I lived at school, I even had some. I worked in the field, like doing events and weddings and stuff like that, and some photo
Right.
shoots. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't call myself a photographer until I was around 22 or 23.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like a hobby I did.
And
Uh,
you learned it all by yourself, or you learned from somewhere? Any formal
yeah,
training you have had?
so I took like three different courses
Mm-hmm.
with teachers. It wasn't at school or something. It was like private courses at
Right. Right.
in town. And like every 2 or 3 years, I took a more advanced course, and that's how I learned it.
Mm-hmm. So they were basically short-term courses, not any like bigger stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't big stuff, and I feel it today. I teach myself today a lot of things that
Right.
usually people learn at the academy or the college or the university, which I
Right.
think is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't do that, but I'm still learning today almost every day, like a new photographer, a new technique, a new film.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very, very important to me.
And what do you think about learning photography from a school or any institute? Do you think that helps, or you just have to like learn it by yourself? Because I'm also a self-learned photographer. What do you think about it?
I think that's a great question.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
feel that on one hand, there's something very, very powerful of a person who gets drawn into something like photography
Right.
and decides to explore his route there and what he likes and what he wants and what he's interested in. And
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand, I feel there's something very, very powerful in a group of students going
Right.
through the same journey together every day, 8 or 9 hours.
Hmm.
It really gets your mind into like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I think meeting very good teachers makes you a better photographer, makes you a better student. So I think I really like that I learned by myself, but it takes a lot of work
Right.
from the person. So not
It
everyone
takes,
can do it.
yeah, it takes a lot of time as well. Right.
Yeah, a
When
lot of time.
when you're learning it from like any institute or any school, it gets easy. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it takes a lot of self-discipline, which
Right.
not everybody has.
Hmm.
And if you have it, and I think it's like a gift that I have, and I'm very honored by it. But it's a lot of work to teach yourself.
Right. And you were always shooting with on film, or you shoot with digital as well?
No, when I started back in the early 2000, I was shooting film. There was no digital, and after a few years, I switched to digital.
Right.
And did that for around 10 years. And 6 years ago, I put my digital camera down and went back to film.
Okay.
But it was very different. When I was a teenager, I only had like 35 millimeters. I didn't know nothing about developing or medium format or large format. I was just giving it to the lab.
Right.
And today I do it all by myself, which I had to teach myself as well through books or the internet.
So why did you like went back to film again? Was there any particular reason, or it was just a random choice?
So I was at my parents' house 6 years ago, and then I found my old camera. And then I said, let's give it a go.
Okay.
And in Israel, there's a really nice community of film shooters on Facebook.
Okay.
And that got me started. And pretty quickly, I felt the magic, or I felt like every frame mattered, and time was suddenly very important. Like the fact that things take time and you have to wait.
Right.
Made me take better pictures. And the more I leaned into it and got into it more, I felt like my photography is getting better, and I wanted to teach myself more. And that's how I met like all the great photographers through books and articles and videos and lectures on the internet.
Right.
Which like, I think that what you get in school, like all the history of photography, like August Zander and Diane Arbus and Sally Mann, like all of these names.
They was amazing photographers, right?
Yeah,
they were amazing.
Like it taught me how to take photos. Like 10 years after me being a photographer and then a working photographer,
right?
I rediscovered it, and I think film is like a very good very good route to get into that headspace.
Right. So you're part of these communities. You always go for like photo walks and all.
So this community is pretty virtual. We don't meet up, but there are around 20 or 30 people that upload a photo like every day and comment and talk to each other on the internet.
And you can critique each other's work as well. That helps as well.
Yeah, we try to do that. Not everybody takes it lightly. When
I can understand that.
Your work.
People get offended at times.
Yes.
When you critique their work.
Yes, on the internet it happens a lot.
Yeah.
And people get offended. It was a great boost for me. Like a lot of good opinions and good comments, and like people looking at my work with very kind eyes. And it helped me get better.
Have you been onto Flickr as well? Flickr is such a website where people share their work.
Yeah.
It really helped me. It really helped me when I started. It really helped me a lot. So, have you been on Flickr as well?
I was on the old Flickr. Like I think it's something big happened.
It has changed now. Yeah, they're updated.
Yeah. So I used to have an account there, but after they changed it, I think they did something with the views and likes. Something changed with the numbers.
It's a bit commercialized now.
Yeah. Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about your process. Like, do you shoot regularly? Do you regularly go out and
Uh,
shoot, or like, how do you do it?
yeah. So I have two kind of shoots.
Right.
So usually when I'm working on a project, so I try once a week
Okay.
to put aside time and do that project. It's usually around half a day when I do the project. And I try at least once a week to do a photo walk. And in the photo walk, I only take portraits. That's what I like. That's what I'm attracted
I've seen your work. I've seen your work, and most of your work is like on related portraits, and they were amazing. They were amazing.
Thank you.
Let me tell you one thing. I, where I saw you. There's this page on Instagram called Nowhere Diary. Yeah. I saw your work there. Yeah. And from there, I went to your like Instagram feed, and then I checked your website, and I really, liked your work.
Thank you.
The portraits are very serious, and it's like most of your work is in black and white.
Yeah.
Is there any particular reason for like shooting black and white, or you just like black and white?
Okay, so good question.
Thank you.
When I do my photo walks, I usually do it when I have free time.
Right.
And I try to pick the best hours for the best light, but a lot of the time I don't get to control that. But what I do get to control is color. Right. And a lot of time when I walk in the streets, when I talk to a stranger, like all my portraits of strangers on the street.
Right.
And we don't choose their shirt color, and we don't choose the background, and I don't choose like their necklace. Like I don't have any say on their color palette at the moment.
Right.
So by taking the color out, I feel like I leave a lot of room for their face, for their expression, for
texture, light.
Eyes. Yeah. A lot of time I feel like when I shoot color, it distracts me from the portrait.
Right.
So that's why they're black and white, and they're on film. Because black and white film I can develop at home, and I have my own process. And color film I need to send to the lab, and it takes a lot of time. And a lot of the time, I'm guessing, I know India is similar, but there's very harsh light, very contrast light. Which it doesn't work well with color on the street.
Right. And colors can distract like the viewer at times,
Yeah. Wait one moment. I need to connect my computer.
Sure.
Okay. I hope everything is okay now.
It's all good. Yes. So I was like, when I was checking out your website, I found a very strange thing. There was no about section, and there was no bio in it. So is it is it like, have you done it on purpose, or you don't like to talk about yourself much? You don't want people to get to know you.
The sad truth is there's not a lot to write about. The fact that I taught myself, and for the past 10 years I work as a photography teacher, an educator at school. So I wish there were more to tell, but this is like, I feel like photography is a hobby that turned into art, and I'm trying to become an artist. But I feel there's a lot to prove for myself before I can call myself like a big artist, or before being recognized as one. But I should have an about section. I agree.
Yeah, you should. Because the first thing anybody does is like, on your website, every person like goes to your bio and about section.
Yeah,
so I did the same.
That's a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And is there anything else you do? Like, you're a full-time photographer now, or there is any other job or day job or anything like that?
No, I'm actually not a full-time photographer. I'm a full-time teacher.
Photography
at a
teacher.
high school. A teacher, an
Oh, okay,
educator.
okay. So what do you teach? What do you teach exactly?
I teach photography.
Okay.
So that works very well.
Mm-hmm.
4 times a week.
Okay.
I teach at a high school I teach the photo class. So I have like around 100 students.
Oh, that's nice.
And yeah, we work in the dark room and in the lab and in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So they do film and digital.
Mm-hmm.
And on my day off, I do my projects. And usually afternoons, I try to make a photo walk. So I really try not to work as a photographer. I had a few years while working as a photographer, and I felt that I need to do a lot of fashion shoots and product shoots and paid commercials, which at first it sounds nice and it's very flattering. It's very good money, but I felt like I didn't want to do that anymore. Like I felt I was using my camera and I didn't want to go to work.
Right. So have you done like fashion shoots and the other kind of work in photography as well? Have you tried your hands on them?
Yeah, there were 2 years that I did that before I learned teaching at the college. It was a long time ago. It was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
And after 2 years, I didn't want to do it anymore. I felt like it damaged my art. Like I didn't want to take photographs anymore. And I feel that a lot of times in fashion shoots, and the photographer is like just another. I didn't like it. I felt like I wasn't in charge and just another person on the set.
You must have felt like you are just a guy with a camera there, right?
Yeah.
You don't have much to do. You just have to click pictures, their lights and everything.
Exactly. And a lot of time, what I like with my camera is the fact that I can. My camera is a very good excuse to talk to people I don't know on the street, which I find interesting and appealing and beautiful, and say, "Hey, I want to take a photograph. I want to get a closer look of you." Right. And this interaction of one-on-one, I like it. It's very, very powerful when a person says yes. And I felt that on those fashion shoots and on marketing and like product photos, that was happening. There was a director and the person from the company and the model and the agency. I was just like another person working on the set.
And when there is so much at stake, I guess you don't get to speak that much, right? You just and after a period, I guess it gets too much mechanical sort of a work.
Yeah, you get your money, you do your work, and then that's it. You don't have the last say. You don't edit the photos.
Right.
You give it to the editor of the company. So I felt that wasn't for me.
No creativity at all. You just have to constantly day in and day out do the exact work.
Yeah,
I've been there as well. Yeah, because I'm also like I'm a black and white photographer. I'm into black and white photography, fine art photography. I've done like fashion shoots and other sort of work as well, but I never liked the idea of like doing such work because it really hampers your creativity and it really hampers with the long-term vision that you have with your work. Right.
I agree.
Yeah. So while you growing up and while you were like teaching yourself photography, who were your inspiration at that time? Who do you look up to at that time?
Yes, that's a good question. I think that only in the past 6 or 7 years, I started my photo book collection, like my library.
Right.
And I like every 3 or 4 months, I discover someone new, which is very exciting to me.
Right.
And I get his book and he helps you a lot. And I do find myself at least once a week, take a book and just sit with like nice music in my living room and like scroll through it. So when I was young, it was like Diane Arbus and August Zander and Cartier-Bresson and Richard Avedon, like all the great American photographers.
Right.
Sally Mann. And I think in the past 2 years, I've been a lot into more like contemporary photographers.
Right.
Like Alex Soth and Brian Skutmat and Matthew Genetempo and Corinne Heidelberg, like all the.
Have you heard of Jack Davison as well?
Jack Davidson? No, I'm sorry.
He's an English photographer from United Kingdom.
Okay.
He is like one of the contemporary photographer that I like.
Really? No, I haven't heard.
You must check his work as well.
Let me write it down.
Yeah, sure.
Jack Davidson.
Jack Davison. His work is like
Davidson.
No, Davison. Davison. Davison.
Okay.
His work is like pretty different from all the contemporary photographers, I must say.
Really? What does he do?
He's into portraits and street photography as well. Not much, but his work is like artistic, very artistic, different.
Really?
Yeah, he play a lot with lenses and lenses and all. You must check out his work as well.
He's still working these days?
Yeah. He's a contemporary photographer. The last interview that I had with the guy, Brett Walker, his coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jack Davison is his student.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I have to ask, first of all, the Portrait Bazaar it's amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's how did you form it? Looks like such hard work.
It's been more than 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, when I started as a photographer, I used to send my photographs to these online pages and all, and magazines. I used to send my pictures, but nobody used to like see the work, and nobody used to I got no recognition at that time. So and there's this photographer. Let me guess his name. His name is Chase Jarvis. Have you heard about him? Chase Jarvis.
Can you?
Creative Calling. No idea. Okay, so I purchased one of his book, and the name of the book is Creative Calling. Okay. And in that book, Chase mentioned about the importance of creating a community around your passion and around your whatever that you do. Yeah. And from there, I got this idea that if I'm a photographer, why not create a community around my passion and curate the pictures for the online community. So that's where I started. And for more than around 2 years, there was no recognition. Nobody was coming on the page and there was no traction at all. Okay. But suddenly, I don't know, out of nowhere, people started, coming on the page and it started growing.
Really?
And yeah. And it all happened during COVID lockdown.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks so popular. It looks like a very hard work. Is it like a daily work?
Yeah. I have to curate pictures on a daily basis.
Wow.
And I've started doing these podcasts and these interviews as well now. So I'm thinking of doing these things regularly.
That's great.
So, thank you. So
do you do it all by yourself?
Yeah. There's no team involved right now. I do it myself.
Wow, good job.
Thank you so much. I'm thinking of expanding the team, but let's see what happens. But one thing is for sure, that when you create these communities, you get to meet a lot of new photographers, and there's so much learning involved.
Yeah.
You got to see so much varied works from different sort of countries, different sort of photographers, and you learn a lot from them, how they shoot, and like the interview that I'm doing with you. You're also teaching me a lot about your work process and all that stuff. So
thank you. I have last question.
Yeah. Sure.
I have to ask, why did you chose the word bazaar?
Bazaar. Do you know what really means bazaar?
I think it's like something in the market, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Hindi word, but the English explanation is like market. So out of nowhere, I just thought of choosing this name, Portrait Bazaar, market for portraits all around the world.
it does give it like a certain edge, the word bazaar. Like
Right.
I wasn't sure if it's Hindi, but I felt like it does bring something from your heritage to the name, which is
Right.
great.
Exactly. Because it's a Hindi name. I just thought of like intermixing English and Hindi together and creating something new.
Good job.
Thank you so much. So, do you sell prints as well?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Haven't tried.
No, I haven't tried it. I feel like there's something like putting portraits on the wall of other people, which is not very popular, which is the main thing I do. And I feel like it's an entire thing to start. Like getting the right printer and the right paper and sending it abroad. It feels like a lot of work, which I'm not really available for, and I'm not sure it's worth the money. Like it seems like it's like a very big thing to get into. So I'm not doing that.
And what's your long-term vision with your photography? Like, what do you want to do? You want to get into photo books and all, or you want to do something else? You want to end up in museums or something like that?
Okay, that's a great question, because for the past 6 months, I gave it a lot of thought.
Okay.
So I feel like my current dream, or my biggest the biggest mountain I can see at the moment, like top that I can view from my point, is like showing my work in Europe.
Right.
I feel like I can show my work here in Israel, in my country, but I wanna exhibit in London or in Paris or in Rome, or I don't know, like something big. I'm not talking about a solo show or something like that.
Right.
But the fact that that my work will be shown abroad is my biggest goal at the moment. And I hope that in the next year or 2 years that would happen for me. And after that, I think I'll give myself a larger goal. I have give a lot of thought of putting a book.
Right.
And there's a lot of publishing companies which you can submit to.
Right.
But I feel that creating a book is something very, very popular. And I feel like there's around, I don't know, thousands of photographers just like me and better than me that are submitting book ideas.
Right.
And the publishers are pretty swamped with submissions. So I hear on the podcast, on YouTube. So I feel that's like my big dream.
Right. And it will
my
take
small
time.
Dream. Yeah.
You got to have a large following for that, I guess.
Yeah. So if that could happen for me in the next 5 years, I would be very happy.
It'll happen, brother. It will happen. I'll pray.
Thank you.
Yeah. In let me tell you about myself. In 2020, one of my photographs was exhibited at International Center of Photography in New York.
Wow.
Yeah. In New York. And then in 2021.
How did you get that?
There was this campaign that they were doing, on Black Lives Matters, something like that.
Okay.
So they asked other photographers from all around the globe to submit their pictures. So I submit mine as well. And to my surprise, suddenly I got a mail from them and they told me that your photograph is selected.
Wow.
Yeah. And in 2021, three of my photographs were exhibited at the Stainless Gallery in New Delhi, in India.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Thank you. They interviewed me as well for their magazine and all. So that happened.
How did that happen?
That interview, they just contacted me themselves.
No, but how did you submit the photos through their website, or there was like a competition, or an award?
No. They saw my work, they saw my website and all, and they also knew me. They knew that one of my photographs was exhibited earlier as well in New York. So they were doing this exhibition for 40 different artists from all around the globe. So they just texted me and they asked me if you want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. I said yes, and it just happened. I just loved it.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Were you excited?
A lot, and nervous as well because this was like the first time I was doing something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I was nervous, like hell nervous at that time. But it happened and it went smoothly.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
What's your next goal?
I'm looking for, first of all, I'm looking for a solo exhibition.
Oh, wow.
Solo exhibition for sure. And
in India?
In India, right? Currently in India. Then I'll think about doing somewhere else as well. But for now, yes, in India. And then I want to have my book published, a photo book maybe, because I like writing poetries as well. So maybe I can combine photographs and poetry together and make something out of that as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to do that. Yeah. So there's this question that I wanted to ask you. You have always been living in Israel. You brought up in Israel. So
yeah,
tell me about photographers from Israel as well. I haven't heard a lot of names, a lot of photographers from Israel. Are there any amazing there must have been amazing photographers in Israel as well.
So there's two, I'm gonna say three. Mm-hmm. I hope I won't get the bad. There are three names which are very, very famous. Mm-hmm. One is Elinor Carucci.
Okay.
Which is a New York-based female photographer, which lived in Israel, I think, by the time she was 20 or 30, and then moved to New York.
Okay.
And she's very famous. There's another one called Michal Helbi, mm-hmm. which does a lot of work of portraits in the Ukraine.
Right.
For the past 20 years, and have been working with Vogue. Mm-hmm. And there's another person called Adi Ness, which is a male photographer who did a lot of work about masculinity and homosexuality and the army in Israel, which is very famous. So they're one of the, and Micha Baram was a journalist in Magnum. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the more big names in Israel.
Okay. I'll definitely look them up on internet and check their work as well. So, tell me, how do you market yourself? Do you do marketing and advertising for your work as well, or you just share your work online?
I just share it online. Mm-hmm. I have tried a lot of awards and competitions lately. Mm-hmm. So a lot of submissions through Lifeframer and the Sony Awards and Lens Culture and No Word Diary and Burn Magazine, all of them. But I don't pay for it. I don't market myself. I just try the submission page and hope for the best. And when I feel I have a very good body of work, I do try to send it as a whole to magazines.
Right.
So that's what I try these days.
Okay, that's great. And there's this question that I ask every photographer that I meet. Do you think Instagram is killing the creativity of photography?
Yes and no. In a way.
Please explain. I would love to listen to you.
I think it's a very good platform. Right. It's the best platform we have at the moment for photography.
And there is no substitute. There is no substitute right now.
Yeah, exactly.
At least to my knowledge, there is none.
I think it's the best because it's the only one we have which is good enough.
Right.
I feel like Flickr isn't good enough, and Twitter is about words, and Facebook is something entirely different.
Right.
So I think it's the best thing we have at the moment. And on the other hand, I feel like the way it works and the algorithm and comments and shares and stories really take the attention from the work and puts it on something else. And the fact that I feel I have to upload something, even if it's not a good photo,
right,
or or if I think the photo is amazing, but I get not enough likes, so maybe I'll delete it, maybe I'll repost it. Like, I feel it really intrudes on the process of photographer.
Right.
But it does give a very, very good way of communicating your work to the world. And I did. This meeting would have happened if we didn't have Instagram.
That's true. Right.
And I managed to approach like big photographers with books on Aperture and Steidl and Matt that have texted me back and helped me and answered my question because of Instagram. So that's very important.
That's true. But one of the pressure that I feel on Instagram is that it really pressurizes you. All the algorithm that they have, it really pressurizes a photographer to constantly, post stuff, even if you don't have much to share. But the algorithm is such that it forces you to post. Otherwise, you lose followers and you lose all the likes and engagement rate goes down. That's a constant pressure. And Instagram Reels as well. It's a new trend that you have to deal with. You can't do much about it.
That's why I say it's the best we have, but it's not good enough. That's what I think. I have heard there's a new something called Photo, which is a new app.
What's it?
Photo, Photo.
Okay.
And it's I think for the past 2 months.
You've been using it?
It's not on yet.
Okay.
But it is for photographers and for fine art.
Right.
And it's supposed to be like Instagram without the algorithm part. So I am waiting for it. Maybe it will be good enough. I'm not sure.
Sure. I'll check out that as well. So is there anything else you want to share? Please, you can let me know.
I would like to thank you for taking the time to meet with me. And I know it wasn't easy. I gave you a lot of trouble before.
No problem at all. No, but it's all good. Finally, we get to meet and finally we get to do this. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for being so patient with me and kind. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you. Whenever we get a chance to again do it, I'll definitely let you know about it as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.